Hi, so for today we're going to talk about calculator techniques for engineering board exam. So this is my very first video about the calculator techniques. So this tutorial video is ideal for those students who are about to take the board exam. Okay, so whether you're mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, electronics engineering, whatsoever. Okay, so this will be useful for you. Okay, and actually, this is the key in passing the math category in your board exam. Okay, during my time, it was my it's really helpful. So I would not be able to pass a board exam without the knowledge of the calculator techniques. Okay, so let's get started. So for our very first topic, okay, so I'll be continuing this until all of the math topics that calculator techniques can be applied. Um, I'll be making videos about all of the topics about math, whereas calculator techniques can be applied. So our first topic will be all about algebra, okay, evaluating functions, and simplifying expressions. So this is the very basic. We start with algebra. On the next video, I'll be tackling about derivatives, integrals, differential equations, and analytic geometry, and all of the math that can be uh, calculated with the calculator technique. Disclaimer only, we can only use calculator techniques, okay? If the question, okay, is a multiple choice, okay? So if without multiple choice questions, okay, without multiple choice, calculator techniques would not simply work, okay? So anyway, in the board exam, it's multiple choice. Okay, so for the problem number one, I have here my calculator, my virtual calculator. So, as I've said, for this video, we're going to evaluate some function. How do we evaluate functions, okay, using our calculator? So, given f of x equals 2x squared minus 5x plus t, evaluate f of 2 and f of 4. So, we can do this manually. Of course, we simply substitute the value of 2 and 4 in our function and evaluate the function. We will be getting some values. Okay, so, but let's take advantage of the calculator. So, how are we going to do this? So, first, if it is in off, okay, if it is off, we can press this button in order for us to on our calculator. Now, take note that this is Casio FX570. I think it's ES plus or plus only. So I think this calculator is still valid for the board exam because there are some list, okay, of calculators not allowed in the board exam. So this has no solar power in it. So I think this is still okay with the board exam. So how do we do this? So aside from we know how to do or simply substitute 2 and 4 in this function, I'm going to teach you how you are going to write this whole equation to evaluate the f of 2 and f of 4. So what are we going to do first is that uh, we have an x here, okay, in our parenthesis. So the x here, I don't think I'm not sure if you're clearly seeing this, okay? So we're going to input this by clicking alpha first. Alpha means all of the reds in our calculator will be the output when we press the alpha. So alpha first and then we have the X here. Okay, if you didn't click the alpha first, press the alpha first, what will appear to your calculator is the parenthesis. Okay, so but here, since we have alpha here, since the color of X here is red, that means we have to press first alpha, then this one in order for that X to appear. If we wish the comma, we are going to press first shift, okay, and this one. So without any of the alpha in shift, if we press this, this would simply be a parenthesis. So we have alpha, then X, okay. So that is the how do we input X. But first, we need to input 2, and then we have alpha again, X, But this is in terms of squared, so I'll be simply pressing this one. It's automatic. It will be 2x squared. Then minus 5. And then alpha again because I will be getting x again, inputting x again. And then plus 3. So therefore, you have now written, or we have already written the equation in our what? In our calculator. So what are we going to do next? So we're going to input some values 2 and 4 in our calculator. So if we press this calc, okay, the calculator will ask some value that we're going to input, okay, some value of x that we're going to input. So now we can evaluate this by entering 2 because the problem is asking the f of 2. So if we input 2 and we simply press the equal sign, okay, the calculator already evaluated, okay, the given function if the input is 2. And in this case, this is 1. So in the choices, we have A and C as 1. So B and D canceled out. Okay? So our only hope is A and C. Okay? It's very effective. So how about we are going to evaluate the f of 4? So we need not to rewrite all of this. Okay? So we simply, what? We simply click again calc. Okay? And instead of 2, we input 4 and then press the equal sign. So the answer is 15. 1 and 15. So the answer to this problem must be what? Letter C. Okay? So that should be our first, our answer for this problem. So it's pretty easy to calculate this function, okay, using our calculator. Okay, I hope you understand that lesson. Okay, so let's go now to number 2. For number 2, okay, so what is the remainder when 2x cubed plus 3x squared minus 2x plus 25 is divided by x plus 3? So we need to recall our knowledge about the remainder theorem here, such that the remainder theorem states that if a polynomial f of x, okay, f of x, this is our f of x, is divided by x minus k or x plus k, any value of k here, the remainder is f of k. So what are we going to do to solve this is that this x plus 3, we simply equate it to 0. So imagine equating that to 0, x plus 3 equals 0, then get the value of x. So that becomes x equals negative 3. Okay? X equals negative 3. So what are we going to do here is that we will be getting the f of negative 3 because that is the value of x. So we need to again to rewrite this whole equation. So we have 2 alpha x, okay? Or we can simply click shift and then we have the x cube here. Ay, sorry. So we have 2 and alpha. Let's go to the method x, and then we can enter this x raised to some power. So we have this, and we input 3. Then we have plus 3 alpha x, and then click this x squared so that the exponent becomes squared. Then minus 2 alpha again, then x, okay, here, plus 25. So again, we will be solving this function, okay? Click solve or press solve again by the x, by the value of the x, okay? So, and that is negative 3. So, negative 3 because again, we equate this into 0 and we isolate x so that the x now will become negative 3, and f of negative 3 of this function will be the remainder of that function when it is divided by x plus 3. So what will happen? Equals, so 4. So the value or the answer when this function 2x cubed plus 3x squared minus 2x plus 25 is divided by x plus 3 should be 4. Okay? So the 4 is the answer. So x again is equal to negative 3. So you want to check it again. So 4 is the answer. So the answer for this problem should be equal to 4, and that is letter C. Okay, let's go now to problem number 3. So, which of the following is a factor of 3x cubed plus 2x squared minus 32? You know, one of my greatest weakness when I was in college was to factor. Okay, I'm not really good with algebra. I'm not really good with factoring. So, if you're not good in factoring, okay, so you can use calculator techniques as long as there is a multiple choice. So, we will be recalling the factor theorem. Okay, so we have the choices x plus 2, x minus 3, x minus 2, and then x plus 3. Okay, so what are we going to do? Just as like what we did a while ago, okay, we're going to assess if the following given here, multiple choices, is a factor of this given function. How will we know that? Okay, so the remainder should be 0. If we get, okay, or get the function as the value of x, different x's here in a to d, so the remainder should be 0. Or the function f of something, f of k, should be equal to 0. If that is not equal to 0, then that is not a factor. Okay, the factor theorem states that if we have an x minus k, in this case, these are the k's, okay, is a factor of a polynomial f of x, then the remainder of f of k, or the value of f of k, should be equal to 0. Again, so what are we going to do? We type in 3x cubed. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm not used to just pressing it in my computer. Okay, so 3 alpha x, and then we have cube here. Okay, plus 2 alpha x, and then x squared here, minus 32. Okay, so what are we going to do is we will be inputting a value of x, okay, based on the choices. Okay, so as if we are going to have an equal 0 for all of the choices and then get, okay, the value of x, transpose the values, isolate x. So in the first example, we try. So if we equate this into 0 and then transpose this 2 on the right side, so it becomes negative 2. So we will be inputting negative 2. If the value of that function that we inputted here, negative 2, would be 0, then x plus 2 is the answer. But if the value is not 0, then that is not a factor. So let's try. Negative 48. So number 1 is incorrect because when we divide this by the factor theorem, okay, so it has a value of negative 48, which is not equal to 0. So again, we try to solve again. No need to rewrite all of this. Okay, so you have to be careful on pressing your calculator, the buttons of your calculator. So, letter B, equate this into 0, transpose this negative 3, this becomes positive 3. So, we enter 3, okay, just input 3 and then equal sign, 67. So, that is not again equal to 0. So, this is a trial and error, okay, because we don't know how to factor. We're only using the calculator techniques. So, again, we solve. For letter C, okay, this becomes 2 because we transpose x on the right side, imagining that we have to equate this into 0. So we have 2. Okay, now the value becomes 0. So again, if x minus 2, okay, is a factor of 3x cubed plus 2x squared minus 32, if we divide this, the remainder should be 0. Of course, in this case, it becomes 0. So, but to make sure, okay, that letter C is the answer, we have to solve up to D. Okay? So I bet this would not be equal to 0. So x plus 3. So imagining that we have to equate this into 0. So transposing positive 3, this becomes negative 3. Okay? So what will happen? It's negative 95. Hence, our answer here, x minus 2 is a factor of 3x cubed plus 2x squared minus 32 because when we divide this function into this, the result or the remainder is 0. So letter C again is our answer. It's not always letter C. Okay? It's not always letter C. Okay, so that is for our problem number 3. So how about for problem number 4? If f of x equals 10 raised to x plus 1, then f of x plus 1 minus f of x is equal to, okay, so we have an f of x plus 1 here. Our f of x equals 10 raised to x plus 1. So in order for us to calculate this problem using calculator, okay, so what are we going to do is we are going to assign a value of x, okay, so that we can compute the numerical value of the f of x plus 1 minus f of x. And then whatever x we use in getting the value of f of x plus 1 and f of x here, we're going to substitute on each of the equation. And if they have the same values, then that is the answer. Okay? So, let me first clarify this. Okay? So, when we are going to use x, always use x greater than 1. Okay? Greater than 1. So, let's say that we use x. Let's say we use x equals 2. Okay? So what are we going to do? This f of x plus 1 minus f of x would be now equal to f of 2 plus 1 because x plus 1. Then minus f of what? The x which is 2. So these two are now equal. Okay? So we can get f of, this should be f of 3 minus f of 2. So what are we going to do? Using our calculator, we're going to get f of 3 and f of 2. So again, our f of x, okay, is 10 raised to x plus 1. So we have 10, okay, and then exponent here. Again, alpha x in the exponent, and then just click this so that you would be out of the exponent. So, and then plus 1. So, we're going to calculate, okay, f of 3. So, we calculate 3. That is 1001. So, f of 3 equals 1001. Okay? And then, we calculate it again by pressing this solve or calc, I mean. So, we get f of 2. So, instead of 3, we input 2. And again, we get a value that is f of 2 that is 101. So that if we minus, if we minus f of 3 minus f of 2, so that would be 1001, okay, minus 101. So that becomes 900. So this 900 is the answer that we should get if we are going to substitute the value of the same x that we use on our multiple choice. So clearly, okay, letter A is not the answer. Okay, letter A is not the answer. And clearly, letter C should not be the answer. Okay, so again, so we are left with B and letter D. Of course, we know that the answer is letter D. So if we are going to do that, 10 raised to x, okay, input that in our calculator, assuming that we don't have the answer here. We don't know the answer, really, but because I have already put the answer here. So we have alpha and x. Okay, press this, then plus 1, then calculate. So x should be equal to 2. So 101, which is not equal to 900. So definitely B is not the correct answer. So let's try letter D. So we have 9, quantity 10, raised to, just click this, alpha here in the x, and then this one, so that we can proceed with the parenthesis, and then solve. Okay? And then input the value of the same x that we use, which is equal to 2. And Viola, you got the 900. So, the answer for this problem should be letter D. So, that's how we try to get, okay, that example. Okay. So, letter D is the answer. Okay? I hope that is clear. So, any x that you're going to use except 1, so because sometimes 1 is dangerous, okay? So, better to use 2, 3, 4, okay? Any other value of x you can use, okay? Just an exception with 1 because there are sometimes that the equation would not be uh, accurate, okay? Or the calculation would be dangerous if we have an x as 1. So always do it with 2 greater than 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc. Okay? Okay. We go now to number 5. Number 5. So for number 5, okay? For number 5, evaluate f1 comma 2. It means that this is xy, okay? Because if f of xy, meaning the function is composed of x and y, two variables. So we have f of x and y equals 4x cubed plus 3x squared y minus 5xy squared plus y raised to 3. I forgot uh, to just type this as an exponent, but this is y cubed, okay? So in the case that we have two variables in the functions or in our function, so simply write, okay? Write the function. So luckily, this is expressed into x and y, of which the calculator has both x and y. So what are we going to do? We input this function for alpha and then x, then click this. So we have cube. Okay? Then plus 3 alpha x and this squared so that we have x squared. Then how about the y? So as you can see, we have a y here. Just the right side of the x. So this is also in terms of red. So we have to have alpha y. Okay? And then we now have the y. So minus 5 alpha x because 5x. Then we have y squared alpha y here, and then click this exponent as with x squared. So 5xy squared plus y cubed. So we have alpha y raised to 3. So what are we going to do next? Just checking if we have already got the correct typing or we have inputted the correct equation, the x squared y minus 5xy squared plus 3y cubed. So you're going to, since this is only an evaluation, so we can do it manually, but to be sure, okay, and to save time, we can do this. So we need to press again calc. So the calculator now, since we have inputted two variables, x and y, will now ask you a value for the value of x and the value of y, of which in this case, we know that this is the value of x, okay, in our function here, and this is the value of y, the 2. Okay, so first, the value of x, input it. Second one, the calculator will ask you, what is the value of y? Give me a value of y. So we input 2. And Viola, we have the answer for that problem. Okay? The calculator has now evaluated the function that we have inputted. So we have negative 2. So guys, the answer here is letter C, negative 2. Okay, now let's proceed. Let's proceed. Let's proceed. Okay, for problem number 6, simplify. Okay, simplify the expression x raised to 4 minus y raised to 4 all over x raised to 4 minus 2x squared, y squared plus y raised to 4. So, for me, it's a hard question because I hate factoring in algebra. So I have to use calculator. So what are we going to do here is first, okay, we need to set a value of x and y in our equation. So let me just bring you to the problem number 6 here. So this is the same problem, okay? So that I could write here in one note. So what are we going to do first is that we're going to assign values of x and y, and then we're going to get the function or the value, evaluate the value upon substituting the values of x and y here. Okay? So, and then, the same value of x and y, we're going to substitute to one of this equation, to all of this equation. Okay? And to get the answer. If the value okay, upon evaluating here, would be the same on one of the choices here. That is the answer. So let's have a value of x as 2 and y as 3. Okay. So what are we going to do? These are the values that we're going to use all throughout our computation. So we need to evaluate that expression by simply what? Inputting it in our calculator. We input it in our calculator. So this has, in terms of rational expression or a rational here, it has numerator and denominator. So what we're going to do, it's convenient to use this. Okay. So this is the numerator and this is the denominator. So we input again alpha x raised to 4. Okay. Then we have minus alpha y raised to click 4. Okay. So all over, we go now to the denominator. We have alpha x raised to 4. Okay. Minus 2 alpha x squared. Okay, that is multiplied by y squared. So we have alpha y squared. Okay, plus alpha y raised to 4. Okay, so we simply press calc. Okay, so after we input this, press calc. Again, the calculator will ask value for x and y. So we input 2 and the value for y is 3. Then click the equal sign. So the value is the answer, okay, upon substituting x equals 2, y equals 3, is negative 13 all over 5. Okay? So in decimal, that's negative 2.6. Negative 2.6. So what are we going to do now is that, okay, since one of the choices here is a simplification of this. So if we substitute the value of x and y, one of the choices here should equal negative 2.6. So let's first try letter A. Okay. So we have to input letter A. So we have a rational sign again. Okay, fraction. 1 all over 2 alpha x squared. Okay, then alpha y squared. Okay. So we can calculate calc, and then again, what? We press calc and then input 2 and y equals 3. So it's 1 all over 72. So this is not our answer. So this is x. Okay? So of course, in the question, there is no answer that is indicated. So you have to try. So you are lucky if you tried the choice that would equal to this. Okay. So letter B, let's try. Letter B, we have alpha x squared plus alpha y squared all over. We have alpha x squared. Click alpha again or minus first alpha and then y squared. Then click calc or solve. So the same x, 2 and 3. And Viola, you have negative 13.5 or negative 2.6, which means that this should be the answer. So for you to be sure, you try letter C and letter D. So I have negative. This is the negative, by the way, negative. Okay, and then click this. For fraction, we have 1 all over 2 alpha x squared. And then we have alpha y squared. Okay, and then calc 2 and 3. Enter that, equal sign. Negative 1 all over 72. So x, still x. So how about letter D? So we have alpha x squared minus alpha y squared. Okay, all over alpha x squared plus alpha y squared. Okay, so solve. X equals 2, y equals 3, negative 5, 13. So these two are not the correct answer. So the correct answer, since it equals negative 13.5 or negative 2.6, so the answer should be letter B. Okay? So the answer here should be letter B. Okay? So I hope you're learning. Okay. So problem number 7. The same thing. We have to simplify this expression. Okay. So one of the choices here is correct. Okay. So what are we going to do? Again, we simply assign values of x, y, and z. So in this problem, okay, in this case, we don't have x, y, we don't have the z in the calculator. Okay? So my advice is that you can use A, B, C so that you will not be uh, uh, what do you call this, confused. Okay, x, y, z. So because you have to input them the same, so we have to let x equals a, y equals b, z equals c. So it's up to you. You can still use x, you can still use y, and you can still use a, but of course the calculator would ask you, okay, in x, y, a. So, for example, the value of x is 1, y is 1, and then a is equal to z. Okay? So, it's kind of hard to remember. Okay? So, but for me, I can use a, b, and c. So, what are we going to do is whatever your preference is. Okay? So, a equals the x, b equals the y, and c equals the z. So that will be the variables that I'm using. So that you'll be also uh, familiarize yourself that there is also a another variable other than x, y, z, or x to y in the calculator. So we have a, b, c. So where can we find this? We have a, alpha b, alpha c, alpha c. Here in the negative and the degree sign, or the hyperbolic and the sign here. So just click the alpha before clicking these buttons, okay? Because A, B, and C, A, B, C, D will not appear. So we have actually A, B, C, D, E, F, okay? Then we have X, Y, and M. So again, let's get started. So all of the A's will be replaced, all of the X will be replaced by A, Y by B, Z by C. So we have now a squared as our x squared. And then we now have b cubed. Okay. Then we have c, alpha c. Okay. So, parenthesis, raised to negative 2. Okay. And all of them are raised to negative 3. So, no problem. Let's go back here. Okay. And then click the exponent here. Okay. Just replace this with negative 3. So, we have x squared, y cubed, z raised to negative 2, and all of them are raised to negative 3 as shown in the problem. So we have again x raised to negative 3, alpha a raised to negative 3, okay? And then we have y, which is alpha b, okay? And then we have z, which is alpha c raised to 3, okay? And then parenthesis, and then we have exponent. Click the exponent here, and then we have negative 0.5. Okay. 0.5, 1 half still the same. So, and then the denominator, parenthesis, we have alpha a multiplied by y, which is alpha b, and then z alpha c, and the c is raised to negative 3. Okay. And then all of them are raised to negative 5 halves. So, negative 2.5. Okay, in decimal. Okay. So, now, the calculator will ask some values. So, A for X, B for Y, C for Z. So, let's try the values 2, 3, and 4. Okay? So, 2, B is 3, C is 4. So, the answer should be 1.76 or this value. Okay? So, if the answer would be actually a very large number or a very small number, we can store it in our calculator for future reference. 1,559,872, 59872, 1 all over 58972. So what are we going to do is we can store it in our calculator by clicking Shift, this one, STO, in our RCL. So make sure to click Shift first and then store to the value of x. Okay? So that whenever we call the value of x, that is the result. So we have stored the value of the answer we get a while ago into the variable x. Okay, so that we would not forget. Actually, I already write it also, so for us not to forget. So let's try. So letter A, assuming that we don't know the answer, that we don't know that letter A is the answer. So what are we going to? We are going to write this again. So we have 1. So x squared instead of x, that is a squared. And then we have alpha b, okay, that is raised to 7. And of course, we have z cubed. Of course, that is c, alpha c raised to 3. So again, input the values. So we have a for 2, b 3, c and 4. And Viola, we get the same answer. So we have 1 all over 5, 5, 9, 8, 7, 2. So for you to be sure, you can store also this. So you can store in shift, okay, RCL or store here, okay, and then click Y. Okay, click Y. So you have already stored it into Y. So how do you know that this is the answer? Divide them. Okay, so we're going to divide alpha x divided by alpha y. The answer should 1 if they are equal. So if these two are equal, okay, the answer should be 1, which is actually 1. So the answer would for this problem should be uh, letter A. Okay? So letter A is the answer for this problem. So it takes you a lot of time, okay, if you really mastered the calculator techniques. But since I'm teaching you how to do it, so I'm teaching you it's step by step. Okay? Okay, for problem number 8, solve for x if x equals 4 raised to n plus 2 minus 24 quantity 4 raised to n minus 1 all over 10, okay, multiplied by 4 raised to n plus 1. Okay. So, this is very simple. We have to just let a value of n, okay, in our expression here to in order for us to find the x. So the very first thing that we're going to do is, of course, this is in terms of n. So we don't have any variable n in our calculator, but we can get it by the value of x, or we can replace this by the value of x. So that's why we're going to solve for it. Okay, so in order for us to get this, so 4 raised to, instead of n, we replace it by x. Okay, so again, because there is no variable x in here. You can also use y, okay? So because we are finding for x, okay? So, but this is pretty much the same. So it doesn't matter. So minus 24, quantity, we have 4 raised to alpha x minus 1, okay? Quantity all over 10 quantity 4 alpha of, it's not alpha, so we have to have the exponent first and then alpha x plus 1. So and then we're going to input a value or solve, okay, input any value of x. So let's say 2, okay, let's say 2. So the result is 1/4, okay. So, in order for us to be sure, okay, we can use any other value of x. Let's say 3. So, it's still 1/4. So, if I solve again by 4, the value of n is equal to 4. So, it's still 1/4. So, for whatever value of n here in our example, x here in our calculator, so the value of this x would be 1/4. So, we have 620. Let's try. Okay, that's not error because it's actually very large. Okay, so it has a restriction. Okay, so it's 1/4. So let's go now to number 9. Number 9, again, simplify a raised to negative 2 b cubed squared all over a squared multiplied by b raised to negative 1. The same process, since we have a, b here as our variable, It's no problem. We can directly substitute it in our calculator by using the same variables. So we have quantity alpha A raised to negative 2. Okay. Then we have alpha B cube. Okay. Then quantity squared all over. We have alpha A squared. And then we have alpha B raised to negative 1. Okay. So again, insert values or calculate values for A and B. So we'll be using 2 and 3 for 2 for A, B for 3. So calculate what's the value of A? Okay, that's 2 and B is 3. So our value is 2187 all over 64. Okay? So that would be, let me have this. So this is the problem 9. So our answer from our calculator, okay, would be 2187 over 64. 2187 all over 64. Again, you can store this into values of x. So again, we have to press shift, we have to press RCL, okay? And then x here. Oops. So the answer, we can shift store x. Okay. So we have stored it in the value of x. Okay, how do we know? If we click or press alpha x equal sign, that is 2187464. So now we're going to try it on our choices. Let's try letter C. So we first try it on letter C. So we have alpha A raised to negative 6. And then we have alpha B raised to 5. Okay. So again, solve the value of A. Again, the value that we use is A for 2 and B 3 for B. Okay. So we have 2, 3. So the values, oh, I'm sorry. This should not be raised to 5. Okay. So what we input is letter D. So that is incorrect as what we have witnessed. So this should be raised to 7. So if this is raised to 7, so Viola, the answer would be 2187 over 64. Or we can also store this into y. And if we divide alpha x, okay, and y, alpha y, the answer should be 1 because they are equal. Okay? So the answer there should be letter C. Okay? That should be the answer. Okay, let's go now to the last problem. Okay, problem number 10. So, solve for A in the equation A equals 64 raised to x multiplied by 4 raised to y. So again, this is a very basic example. So we're going to let values of x and y again here. So that we can compute for the numerical value of a and use the same values of x, y in calculating the choices. So whatever will equal the value that we calculated here on the choices, then that is the correct answer. So we have to input 64, click this one, and then alpha x, okay, multiplied by 4, okay, click this one for the exponent, and then we have alpha y. Again, we click solve or calc this one, calc. So the calculator will ask us what value of x that we are going to use. So let's use value of x 2, y equals 3. Oops, syntax error. Okay, so let me just have a parenthesis here first. Okay, so that we will not have a syntax error. So 2 and 3. So we have 262144. We can store that in the value of a. Okay, so the thing is, if we are using x in our equation, okay, we should not store that into x, but rather on the other variable. So we can also store this 262144 shift RCL into this A. Okay? So, you need not to, again, press the alpha, but this negative sign because it has A in it. So, it's automatic. So, that if we get alpha of A, so that is the answer. So, now, it's time to try it on the choices. So, for letter A, let's try 4 raised to raised to x plus 3 alpha y. Of course, one technique that we can use here is that we can type all of this once in our calculator and see the result one by one. So I'm going to teach you how. So this is our choice, letter A. So what are we going to do is simply put a colon. I don't know if this is a colon or semicolon. So the two dots here. So in this one, the red here, so we have alpha and then colon. Okay? So what are we going to do next is to write the letter B, okay? Equation 4 raised to 3 alpha x and alpha y. Okay? And then for letter C, we'll be adding colon again, alpha, and then the colon here. Okay? Okay, so we have 2, 5, 6 raised to alpha x, alpha y. That's this letter C choice. And then again, colon again for letter D. Okay, so we have 4 raised to 3 alpha x plus alpha y. So same process, we're going to solve. Click calc. Okay, the calculator will ask again the value. Okay, so for x and y. So 2 and 3 because we have already used the 2 and 3. So the first one is not the same as the value that we have get a while ago because it starts with 212, I think. So letter A is not the correct answer. Just another press on the equal sign is the letter B. Okay, so which is obviously not the answer. Okay, and again press the equal sign. 256 raised to x and y is not again the correct answer. For letter D, this is the value that we have calculated here in our equation A. Okay, 262,144. So, hence, our answer would be letter D. Okay? So, thank you so much for listening. I hope you learned something from this basic calculator technique. So, just tune in and share this with your friends who are about to take the board exam in order for you to learn or refresh your knowledge in calculator techniques. So, share this with someone that you know that is in need, okay, or reviewing for the board exam. So, thank you so much. God bless you all. Thank you so much for listening. This is again Engineer Abat, and God bless you.